Hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again here. Let's spend some time today on something that we repeat all the time. I mean, this is A Course in Miracles after all, and you'll find, if you've not yet found, that it repeats the same ideas over and 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 over in different ways, in different forms. And you'll also find, again, if you have not found yet, that on some days you're going to be more receptive to it. The more you're exposed to it, the more you'll get it. The sooner, perhaps, you'll get it and be inspired to put it into practice, where we find the real learning takes place. This happens when we do the course, when we do it, when we put it into practice. That's when our experience shows us the truth of the ideas that we're spending time on, that we're studying, that we're allowing to permeate and percolate our mind. The main idea that we're talking about here today is our power of decision. Our power of decision right here, right now, in the present moment, while incidentally, we appear to be here as this little organism here, as this thing, the physical body, while we appear to have what we call a life. Sometimes we think it's really not much of a life because we don't like our job, or we wish we had this, we wish we had that, we wish we had more money, we wish we had a bigger house, we wish we lived elsewhere, we wish we had a smaller house because we'd like to downsize, or something, 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 and we're busy, busy, busy at all times. It seems like even if you're retired, you're still finding, no doubt, plenty of things to occupy your day. That's just what passes for life here. And it's right here that we can choose. We can make a choice. It may appear that you cannot make a choice. So let's simplify all of this. You can make a choice, and you're going to make a choice whether you like it or not. So let's explain. There's only one choice that we can actually make. One. Of course, it appears that there are billions and billions. We walk down the shelves of a store and we're bombarded with stuff. We could choose this little trinket or that little trinket, or if we're at a supermarket or a grocery store, we can choose the red bell pepper or the green bell pepper or yellow or orange. And perhaps there are trillions of other varieties of stuff too. It looks like we have so many choices. No, we have one choice. And it's really important. One choice. There are exactly two things from which we could choose. Two. One choice, exactly two options. I think you know where we're going with this discussion. One choice is the same old, suffering and pain, separation, guilt, blame, hostility, rage, despair, anxiety, depression, and fear, to name a few. It's all the same. That's one choice. That is the choice of the ego. This false, and I do mean false, sense of separation that we appear to live in, where there appear to be 8 billion people plus on the planet running around, plus all of the other life forms that also appear appear to inhabit this spinning ball of rock, hurtling through space, doing its thing, wobbling on its axis. So sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold, always changed, constant change everywhere we look, and there appears to be multiplicity. It's where we appear to find ourselves, that separation. In this apparent multiplicity, we see ourselves as cut off from everyone else. Even if we sometimes feel connected, we still see ourselves as individuals, as separate people, as separate beings in our common language. And, well, we suffer. Because even if we're momentarily thrilled and happy, less than a minute later, sometimes something will come along to shatter that equilibrium completely, and we're upset. Happens all the time. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, until we find ourselves exhausted and on the spiritual path. Welcome. I mean, really, that's why we're here is we have formulated the thought that there's more to it. There's more to it than just this constant barrage of up, down, and going off to work, or if you work from home, turning on your Zoom camera and microphone and doing life that way. There's more to it than checking our email and cobbling together enough money for the next bill stuff. Like, yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. And that's because we don't have to choose that as our reality, even though it appears that we're right here. You know, we can choose right here in the midst of our daily lives the other option, the Holy Spirit, love instead of fear, light instead of darkness, who we really are instead of our little pretend ego selves, which is really playing it small. I mean, if you think that you're encased in this, how is that anything other than playing it really, really, really small? Talk about a limitation. Talk about a gross limitation on the magnificence and sheer expansiveness and power of the Son of God, i.e., all of us, right? We don't have to continue to choose the same old path of separation, doubt, and fear. We could choose instead the other option, the only other option that's truly available to us, the Holy Spirit. This thought system that the Holy Spirit is pointing us to and guiding us on, should we allow it to do so. Please and thank you on behalf of all of us. Yes, very much so. I mean, it's very easy to sit here and agree with this talking head on your screen if what it's saying makes sense to you. And maybe it doesn't, which is totally possible, isn't it? This course, should you stick with it, produces so many head scratching moments, moments of, huh? What is he really talking about? You gotta be kidding me. Perhaps you've had some of those. If you haven't, just wait. They're coming. We have this one choice. One choice is the choice for joy and happiness instead of suffering, which will it be? Sounds real obvious in this rather abstract context, doesn't it? And we find it so incredibly difficult when the video ends or when we close the book that we're reading and put it down and go about doing life. All of a sudden, we're bombarded with our email list or we've got to go to work. And our manager or our boss wants something. They're driving us to do something. And we experience the push-pull internal conflict of life. But we don't have to continue to choose it. Now, this is where a lot of spiritual students don't go all the way. They stop very short and say, okay, well, does this mean I can just quit my job and ignore all my responsibilities and run off and hide because I'm not a body anyway? And so what does it matter? I'm gonna go eat this entire cake over here and have some deep fat fried food here and sugary soda here because who cares anyway? It's a very common attitude. The drama to highlight and exaggerate is 100% intentional, of course, because it's what we do. That's not what we're saying at all. What we do here as students of this course is we're invited to choose the Holy Spirit instead of the ego. Naturally, of course we are. We're also invited to show up in our lives and just continue to live our lives. I mean, you need to pay the bills, right? I mean, unless you're independently wealthy and you're not working or you don't have to. If you do, like a lot of us, you just continue to show up and live your life. But you do so from a completely different perspective, from a completely different frame of mind, so to speak, where you don't have to take this world that we appear to inhabit as your home and reality, even though it certainly appears to be. Right here in this illusion is where we choose the Holy Spirit, where we choose every moment that we're aware that we have this choice. We choose love instead of fear, light instead of darkness, life instead of death. How about that? You can characterize this in words any way you want. It's critically important. So it may be helpful to see it this way. It's like we're watching a movie. You're kind of watching one right now, pixelated image on your screen. It's the Holy Spirit that's really talking to you. It's taking the form of a middle-aged man from Arizona. And I promise you, there's a lot of those. You can't get any more ordinary or mundane than that messenger. I promise you, there are a lot of them. It's important to know that when something lands, it's the Holy Spirit that's speaking to you. The Holy Spirit speaks to us in many ways. And you may find it very, very helpful to consider that we're all watching a movie here, whether it appears on a screen like this or what I sometimes like to refer to as the screen of life. Mind is the projector, and what we appear to see on the screen is what the mind's showing us, projecting onto the screen of life. Well, one minute we may love it, the next minute, not at all. And it's up, down, like that. So we have a choice as to how we're going to watch the movie. In other words, as to which version we're going to watch. It has all been filmed already. Time is a complete illusion. It appears to be going in what we've gotten together and agreed is this thing called a linear fashion. When you think about the calendrical systems that exist here in the world, and I mean all of them, they're all made up. In reality, this perceived separation never occurred. We're reviewing something that appeared to take place long ago. We have a choice right now while we think we're here, while we appear to be here, of watching the Holy Spirit's version of the film or the ego's version. Which is it? When we watch the ego's version, we stay in the dark theater, believing that the images that we see on the screen are real. When we choose, on the other hand, to watch with the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit shows us and constantly reminds us that we can get up and walk out of the theater lovingly, kindly, and certainly into the light, which is just on the other side. Which do we choose? The arms of love, capital A, capital L, are waiting, willing to receive us. Gonna let them. We could choose this. So, what appears to be our life is, in fact, well, and this is not flattering, and it's not meant to be, it's illusory. All of the stuff that we do, we've given it all of the meaning that it appears to have for us. So, we're invited to see it with the Holy Spirit. We're invited to look at everything in our experience with the Holy Spirit and perceive it differently. Now, while the world itself is an illusion, there is no world, exclamation point. That's directly from the Course, by the way. And Jesus says this is its central teaching. So while the world itself appears to be concrete, solid, real, and home sweet home, it's not that. And deep down, we all know that. But while we appear to be here, we still have this choice to make. And the more that we choose the Holy Spirit, the better. So while everything here, including the world itself, is an illusion, except for one thing, our loving thoughts, those are real. Everything else is an illusion. So, what this means is sometimes people get really freaked out by this. So, let's talk about it. You are not an illusion. The world is. The physical body is. The physical body is the belief in sin made flesh and projected outwards. It's a belief that you've separated from God and offended him greatly, and you can't stand the unconscious guilt of that. And I'm speaking of all of us here, understand that. Can't stand that deep unconscious guilt for having thrown away heaven, or so we think. And we can't stand it, and we project that guilt outward. It becomes, as we run around doing life, someone else's fault. We blame people. We blame the government. We blame the other political parties. Classic example. We blame our boss. We blame somebody. We blame someone else. Or we blame ourselves and go to town on ourselves. I know some of you can relate to that one. Yeah. You are not an illusion. Not a single one of us is, in truth, a physical body. The separation never occurred, accepting what this course refers to as atonement, in other words, the Holy Spirit's correction of our perception. Central to this acceptance is our acknowledgement that the separation never took place. You cannot leave your source, capital S. You know where we're going with this convo, so let's go there, shall we? One of the more often quoted passages from the Course is this one: ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain, in other words, in the mind of the thinker. We're also known here, and not coincidentally at all, as the thought of God. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. God is the creator, the Son of God, all of us, is the created. Like extends like, after all. It can't extend unlike. There is no unlike. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Where are you? Exactly. Perfectly safe and at home in God. Most of us are certainly not taught that. We're taught the separation in which we fall for and believe with everything we've got until we find it grossly lacking and wanting, and we seek a path to peace, in a manner of speaking. We're on the spiritual path because we know there's more to it than just all of the stuff that we've been conditioned to live with and die with and believe. Hmm. You ever felt like there's way more to it than all this? Welcome. Stick around. You're going somewhere. Of course, we're not really going anywhere, but you know what I'm saying. Figure of speech. In fact, language itself is a series of symbols. A word's a collection of sounds. It's not the thing that it stands for, and the thing that it stands for appears here in the world, which is illusory. So let's come back to this idea that you're not an illusion. This is an illusion. It's not you. It's not me. When you look in the mirror, this is not you. And even if you're not looking in the mirror and you're touching what appears to be you, it's still not you. You are not an illusion. You are the all, capital A, part of the all, yeah, in which there are no separate component parts. In other words, you're the whole, the all, capital A. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Where are you? Go there. This course invites us to go there. Does that seem radical and a game changer? Excellent. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. Nobody ever said this was dull. And if somebody, in fact, did say that it's dull, they probably skimmed over a couple of parts of it and put it down. Not dull. Welcome again. Now, you may still be highly doubtful. That's perfectly normal. I mean, it is. It's perfectly normal and expected. Expect this. You may still be fearful of truth, but you are not immobilized. Far from it. You have and you've acknowledged a real relationship, and it has meaning, deep, powerful meaning. This is our relationship with our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. Now, you may call this whatever you want to call it. It's part of our mind. Let's listen to it. The Holy Spirit is part of you. It's not outside you. There's no separate power outside you. There is only perfect oneness. God is perfect oneness. We made up all of this separation drama. Now, while we appear to be here, we have this choice between the thought system of the Holy Spirit, between joy and limitlessness, or the thought system of the ego, pain, gross disempowerment, limitation, and suffering. Which is it? And we've continued to choose the ego. That's why this conversation appears to be happening. It's why it appears to be necessary. At some point, it won't be. So let's bring that much closer and hasten the end of time. Want to help? Excellent. Welcome. One way that you can do this is by subscribing to this channel. This is the prompt here in the corner of your screen. Just click that icon. It's been on, in fact, during this recording as a arrow. It's a red and white little arrow. Click that, and in a little bit here, my picture is going to pop up. Same deal. If you see that and you wish to subscribe, go ahead and do that. We'd love to have you. It's a growing international community, which is very, very cool. And that's one way that you can hop on board, so to speak. And another great way to stay involved and active is by asking questions if you have them. I'm certainly here to serve as a guide and a resource for you. Should you have questions, feel welcome to leave them. They can be specific to A Course in Miracles or about spirituality in general. So whatever the case may be, I do want to welcome those. And I thank you so much, as always, for joining me. I will see you soon.